Everybody, my name is Deshaun, also known as the Paleo Giant, and today, I know it's been a long time coming. There's some of you out there that's been waiting for a long time. Y'all been waiting for me to make a video, and here it is. This is my first video. We're making paleo shrimp fried rice. So if you stick around, you can see how easy it is to make something tasty and also healthy. Let's get it. So here I have most of my ingredients, minus the shrimp, which is found in my refrigerator. The correct measurements for these ingredients can be found on my blog, which is going to be linked in the description. And right now I'm adding the coconut aminos, and I'm only adding half the amount to the pan. And this is what I'm going to cook my shrimp inside. Right now I'm just making sure the bottom of the pan is coated with the coconut aminos. I did not preheat the pan because I did not want the sugars from the coconut aminos to burn in the process of me cooking the shrimp. And here I have the shrimp, which is I have the small shrimp, and I cut approximately 5 to 6 pieces into thirds, and this is gonna go inside of the rice. And here I'm adding 2 cloves of garlic because garlic really does have really good health benefits for you. I'm going to have to go add that, and I'm adding 8 pieces or 8 colossal shrimp in the pan also to cook along with everything else. And I'm moving everything around so that everything gets a nice good coating on it of the coconut aminos and garlic. So right here is pretty much a waiting game in the cook time for the shrimp, because I did not preheat the pan because I did not want to burn the sugars inside the coconut aminos. I also didn't want to overcook the shrimp, so I'm steadily increasing the temperature of the cooktop so that it starts cooking the shrimp and the coconut aminos. So here I'm adding 1 pinch of garlic powder because we already have 2 cloves of chopped garlic already in the pan with the shrimp. And here I'm adding also 2 pinches of onion powder. And now we're continuing to wait for the cooktop to bring the shrimp up to a cooking temperature and also to cook the coconut aminos. But while we're waiting, did you know that all shrimp are born males and some of them actually become females as they mature? I thought that was crazy. I thought you should know that. Now you can go and brag about how you know a lot more about shrimp than other people do. Finally, the pan came up to heat and everything's starting to cook really well. I'm making sure that it does not stay in one spot too long because I do not want to scorch this shrimp. I do not want to burn the coconut aminos. I want to make sure that everything is cooked perfectly. And when I say cook perfectly, I mean that I don't want to overcook my shrimp. As we all know, shrimp does not take that long to cook, but you can overcook it really quickly if you don't pay attention. You don't want your shrimp texture to have a very rubbery texture to it. That means you overcooked it. So now I know that I'm gonna be turning these colossal shrimp over because they are definitely cooking exactly how I want them to cook. And here I am flipping them one by one, checking them and moving the smaller pieces around also. After I have flipped over all the colossal shrimp, I am now moving all the big shrimp over to what I believe is the hottest part of the pan, while I move the smaller pieces over to what I believe is the coolest part of the pan, because I want the smaller pieces to cook slower and I want the larger pieces to cook faster so I can move on to the next part of this recipe. I came to the realization that the cooktop that I had is actually keeping the lower portion of the pan and the upper portion of the pan at a very consistent heat when it has actually got a chance to warm up and do its thing. I'm doing one of the most important parts of cooking here, and I am tasting the food that I have to make sure that the flavors that I want are where I need them to be before I plate them. So here I'm tasting one of the smallest pieces of shrimp that I have, making sure that if it needs any garlic powder, onion powder, salt, pepper, if it needs any of these, I can go ahead and add these now so I don't have to worry about them later. It definitely needed some salt, so I went ahead and added a couple pinches of salt because the coconut aminos actually reduced down and made the shrimp taste a lot sweeter than it was supposed to. But because I added the salt here, it actually balanced out the flavor of the shrimp. And here I will taste again just to make sure that the flavors are matching what I want them to taste like before I add them to the finished product. And I will taste the shrimp one more time before I remove it from the pan. By this time, the shrimp is already cooked thoroughly. The salt has been incorporated to all pieces of shrimp. But as you can see here, I am actually separating the largest pieces of shrimp away from the smaller pieces of shrimp because I like to see art in my food. And here I am creating balance by doing that. You do not have to do this. By this time, you can go ahead and take your shrimp out and get ready to cook your vegetables, which is what I'm about to do. I just had to do this because this is who I am. I'm gonna take the shrimp out and add my finely chopped baby carrots and broccoli to the pan without cleaning out the pan itself because I want the flavors that I made while making this dish to incorporate into the broccoli and the carrots. The only thing that I add to the pan is a little bit of water to help soften up the broccoli. And here you'll see me actually piling everything up into the center of the pan and doing my weird thing that I do while I cook, which is really just trying to find balance in my cooking. And I'm turning the heat down because it's very high at this point. Now that the broccoli has actually gotten to the point where I want it to be and is perfectly cooked to my palate, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the broccoli and the carrots to the plate with the shrimp that I cooked previously. And I'm taking my time here and I'm taking and scraping down the sides as much as I can to get all the pieces of the carrots and the broccoli into the plate. But as you can see, I didn't really do that much of a good job. So now I'm adding my cauliflower rice to the pan. And this is just one bowl right here, but I'm actually doing two bowls of cauliflower rice because I'm making some to eat for later. So I'm looking for this other bowl of cauliflower rice that I had no idea where it went, but come to find out, it actually was right in front of me the whole time. So I felt kind of stupid. I don't know if you guys ever deal with that, like you're looking for something, but it's been in front of you the whole time. Anywho, I'll go ahead and add that second bowl of cauliflower rice to the pan. The pan has already been heated up because of the previous things I was cooking. Now, I'm going to constantly stir this mixture because cauliflower actually holds a lot of moisture. I'm going to go ahead and add me 3 pinches of garlic powder, 3 pinches of onion powder, and I believe 3 pinches of salt. So the salt that I'm using here is actually pink Himalayan salt. It has a very mild salt flavor to it, so that's why I enjoy it and I use it a lot in my cooking. But salt is going to be a friend in this dish because what the salt is going to do is actually help release some of that moisture out of the cauliflower and get you that texture that we're looking for to have a rice-like cauliflower rice. After you've added all those flavors, you want to mix it up and actually incorporate those flavors throughout the whole pan. You don't want just some oniony parts or garlicky parts or salty parts of cauliflower. You want it all to have the same flavor throughout. And there goes the big no-no. I left my cooking utensil inside of my pan while it is still on. This is how I burned a lot of my cooking utensils. This is how I've actually burnt myself several times. So please promise me when you do make this dish, you do not do what I have done inside this video. Do not leave your cooking utensil inside of the pan. So you're gonna definitely continue to mix and stir this cauliflower rice. You want to continue to mix and stir this cauliflower rice. You want that steam, you want that moisture to be leaving out of the cauliflower so that you can get that texture that we've been talking about this whole video. And sometimes you just gotta give it a little smack. Give it a little smacky smack. And I left my utensil in the pan again. And I repeat, please do not leave your utensil in the pan. I've done this way too many times. And I should have just edited out the video, but I am human and I do make mistakes. And now comes the point where you actually taste it. So I'm going to taste the cauliflower rice and see if it has the flavors that I want before I add the other things, and it does not. So I go ahead and add the rest of the garlic powder, the rest of my onion powder, and also the rest of my salt that I had set aside for this. And I'm going to go ahead and incorporate everything together. You see me scraping the bottom of the pan because the cauliflower actually dried up enough to the point where it's starting to stick to the bottom of the pan and kind of brown almost. I'm sure you can see the difference of the cauliflower now than before when it was full of moisture. Here you can see how the cauliflower is actually more free-flowing, more rice-like in texture compared to before when it was almost all the pieces were clumped together. And I taste it again just to make sure that the flavors are there, and they are. And I add the rest of my coconut aminos. And I immediately begin stirring. And at this point, we're looking for uniformity of color. I know it's weird that we took our time getting rid of all that moisture from the cauliflower rice and then we're adding more moisture to it, but the moisture that we're replacing is actually going to be full of flavor rather than flavorless water. So here's my little experiment. You do not have to do this step. I only did this because I wanted to see what it tastes like. Someone told me that roasted walnut oil tasted just like toasted sesame seed oil, and I had to try it out. And if it does not taste like that, I'm definitely gonna just replace it because I have my toasted sesame seed oil ready to go. So I'm just gonna go ahead and mix it in. Now I'm gonna take a taste, but I'm gonna tell you right now, it does not taste like toasted sesame seed oil. It's not bad, it's just not like toasted sesame seed oil. So now I add my toasted sesame seed oil, and immediately you smell the roasted nuttiness from the toasted sesame seed oil. It smells like fried rice at this point. Now I'm going to go ahead and reincorporate the broccoli, carrot, and the small pieces of shrimp into the cauliflower rice. I'm going to give this a really good stir. Now that we're done stirring and incorporating the broccoli, carrots, and the small pieces of shrimp back into the cauliflower rice, I'm going to go ahead and clear the dance floor for the most, if not the most important part of fried rice, which is the egg. And I have two large eggs that I have whisked together, and I'm gonna go ahead and add. And as soon as they get into the pan, I'm gonna go ahead and try to scramble them while they're in the middle. And it's okay here if some of the rice or the shrimp or the broccoli gets into the eggs while you're trying to scramble it. It's gonna get mixed in anyway. You just try to scramble it by itself at first, and then eventually just go ahead and start incorporating everything together. It's gonna end up being in there anyway, so don't worry. Now we can finally see how the green from the broccoli, the orange from the carrots, the white and yellow from the eggs, and the brown from the cauliflower are mixing together to make this dish look absolutely beautiful. But we can't forget my favorite ingredient, which is ground flaxseed. It does not taste like anything, it does not smell like anything. And I add it to most of my dishes, and I just go ahead and add it in there. And because it does not taste like anything or does not smell like anything, you can just reap the benefits without having to worry about any weird underlying flavors inside of your dish. Now that we have added our ground flaxseed, we're actually done, everybody. So what we're gonna do is put it in a bowl, top it with our colossal shrimp, add some chives, some sesame seeds, make it Instagrammable. Tell me what you guys think.